forever home.
Well, they are not only trained to be your companion, but can be the difference between life and death. Do you have a condition that requires you to need a medical alert dog? How could you get one? IndyVet's Dr. James Speiser is here with what we need to know about the different kind of dogs. We're familiar mainly with like a seeing eye dog, but man, we've hearing more and more about different dogs that can alert you to a seizure, diabetes, etc.
Exactly. There are dogs that have very unique and special perception abilities so that they can actually detect a medical condition in a person.
Okay.
And by detecting it, then they can prevent a crisis from occurring. Let's talk about seizures first. There are seizure alert dogs that can actually detect a seizure perhaps
before it happens?
Yeah, perhaps a minute or two before it happens. I've actually observed this with a couple of dogs where the client actually had two dogs. The older dog had seizures and the younger one would actually go up and start licking the face of the dog before it had a seizure, so it would alert them. But these particular dogs with people alert the person to the seizure. They can either then take medication or prepare themselves for a seizure. Now there are different types of seizures. There's seizures where people or young children can get disoriented and walk off into the street or fall down the stairs. And those dogs are response dogs that will prevent that by blocking the child from falling down the stairs or going into the pool, knocking them down, barking, alerting the parents and so forth.
Let's move quickly to diabetic alert dogs. I have several friends that are type 1 diabetics, and obviously they have to watch those insulin levels so closely, among other things.
Exactly.
Can a dog in this sense alert them to levels being off, or how does that work?
Exactly. You know, many people can detect in themselves when their sugar's too high or too low when they're awake, but then they go to sleep and they're not going to detect that. And there are diabetic alert dogs that somehow, apparently through odor, can detect when the sugars are going too high or too low and can wake people up and alert them to, hey, you need to check your blood sugar. And this can actually prevent death.
Oh my goodness. Let's talk just in general then, medical alert dogs more in general. What other types of dogs can do what for people?
You know, there are some dogs that can actually detect when conditions are ripe for like kids to have asthma and will alert that particular condition. There are some that actually can even detect certain types of ovarian cancers and things like that.
We've actually done a story on that once here.
Yeah, they can actually be a screening test for certain types of cancers. It's absolutely amazing how these dogs, with their very sensitive sense of smell, over 10,000 times more sensitive than we can detect those things before we can.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do here in the next coming weeks. I'm going to find out the closest place here to Indiana where someone is training dogs like this, and then we're going to talk about how to get a dog like this. Now, if this is something that you say, well, yeah, I'd like to have one, but is it $30,000? Is it $10,000? Is it $3,000? How do you do it? We'll talk about that coming up here in the weeks to come.
That's great.
Dr. Speiser with IndyVet Emergency and Specialty Hospital. For a list of their services and all of their educational opportunities, fox59.com/links. But amazing what these animals can do.
It is. They're special.
Thank you so much.
You
Jim
bet.
O'Brien, they can even sense, I think, when it's going to rain sometime.